Welcome to today's special podcast where we will dive into the 5 bold predictions for AI in 2025. What will businesses get right and wrong using AI in 2025? I'm your host, Jennifer Geisler, Chief Marketing Officer at Cipher Learning, and I'm excited to have 2 incredible guests with me today. Fiona Letney, a leading analyst at Fosbury Group with deep insights into how AI is transforming work and learning, and John Canepa. He's the Chief Operating Officer and President of Cipher Learning, who's leading the charge in AI-powered learning. In 2024, AI made huge strides, but what's next? Today, we're not just looking at trends, we're exploring where AI will surprise us, challenge us, and maybe even force us to rethink everything about how we work, learn, and lead. So Fiona and John, we're just going to jump in here, and we're going to start with the 5th. We're going to start from the bottom, from the 5th up to the 1st, and we're talking about the 5th prediction here. So in 2025, personalized workplace development will become the standard, eliminating the one-size-fits-all of training. Now, Fiona, how does AI make this possible, and what is the impact on organizations trying to upskill at scale?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me on this, Jennifer. I'm looking forward to this conversation. And actually, even though this might be down there as the 5th, it's one of my favorites because I've been in this industry for 25 years and we have been promising personalization because of digital learning really way back into the 25 years ago, and we have failed. We have not achieved what we had promised, which was to deliver to the learner what they need to know minus what they already know. But there's going to be different ways that we can do this now that we've got AI. And so it's not about what in the, I'm not sure whether this translates very well, but in England, we talk about sheep dipping and, one size fits all, being sheep dipped with, the compliance training or whatever. It's not about that. But actually, it's not even about recommendations engines either. That was what we were talking about when we were talking personalization. It's not enough. There are a couple of areas that are developing now. I would see one as being adaptive learning, and it's where the system gets to know what the individual does know and their context, and then can take them, provide them with what they don't know or what they're forgetting. And I think the other thing, which is something that I know that you guys do, is that kind of learning agent where the individual, the learner, can actually start just to ask questions, and the agent knows their context and therefore will answer accordingly. And that's real personalization. It's about a conversation, and that's when we start to get efficient and effective about our learning.
Sorry. Hey, John, I don't know if you can top that, but how is Cipher Learning enabling the shift from, and I just love it, from sheep dipping, and what results are customers already seeing as you're helping them make this shift over?
Well, Jennifer, again, thanks for having me. I love this conversation with Fiona and you as well. That helps us kind of bring forward some examples of what we're seeing at Cipher Learning, where we introduced Cipher AI 360 that helps organizations transition from outdated, as you said, one-size-fits-all trends in historical training to a more dynamic and more personalized experience that delivers real business impact. And one of the examples we typically talk about, at least in the education space, is our client EduStem, who is a private educational institution in Mexico. They use Cipher AI 360 to develop over 2,500 courses in just 4 weeks to really reach new markets and help students get the training they need in areas that are rapidly evolving very quickly, so they're skilled and ready for employment. And typically that process for an educational institution might take months, right? And then we're talking about 4 weeks, right? Using this new, right, more advanced and dynamic way of developing courses versus traditional kind of, more hands-on and manually intensive processes. And so beyond efficiency, what AI allows us to do is also focused on personalized learning agents, which is a topic that Fiona just raised, where agents are starting to develop a persona-based application where it can guide, for example, employees through learning paths, testing and evaluating their progress on certain types of skills, developing actionable insights at every step to help them get through certain types of assessments or critical, skill sets they need to be more, developed in a specific area. But it also helps managers, right, create real-time graphs or charts to help the leaders get insights into what's happening with their employees around learning outcomes, skill gaps, people that are progressing faster than others, and ROI. And so the combination of these types of efficiency and personalized learning solutions with analytics really helps you ensure that you get training that's not just a checkbox, right? Not just one size fits all, but something that actually evolves into a very personalized and specific, right, to the employee as a strategic advantage. And that's where we see a tremendous value generation for businesses.
Absolutely. And those are exciting times. I think that's a really good way of talking about the goodness that AI is actually going to bring to everyone, learners everywhere. Now let's hop on to prediction number 4. So with personalized learning taking center stage, it's no surprise that customer expectations are evolving too. So our next prediction, coming in at number 4, focuses on how AI will transform customer service, making it not just tolerable, but better. Some say even delightful. Fiona, is it better AI, higher expectations, or both driving this shift?
I think it's going to be a combination of the two. But I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, even just in the last few weeks, sort of going on to a, let's say it was a bank situation, and I had a chatbot. I got a particular question I wanted answered, and I go into the chatbot, and it, it's scripted, and because I hadn't asked the question just quite right, then it kind of gave me an answer that I just didn't need, or asked me another question that was taking us off into the wrong direction. So I think that will start to be phased out because of what AI is capable of as it begins to be able to understand much more natural language, and therefore is answering your specific question and in a conversational way. But it's also can be there if it is, because not everybody will want to have that chatbot experience. They'll want to talk to somebody, but sometimes that that real agent is not able to answer all the questions, and therefore if they have AI available to them in the background, they can actually answer those questions on the call instead of having to say, I'm going to have to come back to you when I found out the answer. And what we've seen is, again, using AI and adaptive learning and that kind of thing, situations where for call centers specifically, and in customer service situations, you've got first time resolution is happening more often, so it's improving that. There's the shortening of those calls as well, because they've been able to answer the question quicker, but also those NPS scores have gone up massively. So I think that is really where customer service is going to be improved using AI massively.
And that's going to be exciting for all of us to actually have better customer service from that standpoint. And I like your point. It's not just about always just dealing with an agent. It's about dealing with maybe a live agent, a person that can leverage AI to serve you better as well. So it's not one or the other. But, Don, Cypher's platform is all about, delivering exceptional experiences. So how do you see this transformation playing out in corporate training specifically?
Well, it's a great example. In corporate training, we're seeing that this translates into real-time personal support for employees at every level. It's, we're living in a world where, our employees come from a background of expecting kind of the Apple Genius Bar of their experience, right? As a consumer, that you go to the bar, you understand what their the knowledge they have about your device, what specific problems you need to solve. But now we're bringing it right into the flow of work, right? With personalized learning agents, where every team member has the ability to access an agent, right? That allows them to solve problems in the flow of work, like solving a challenge on a critical client presentation or struggling with a key concept. They can get access through a personalized learning agent. It might be a quick explainer video, or it might be a relevant tip or a step-by-step guide to actually accomplish the task they're looking for. This is what learning in the moment means. It's not having to go to the Genius Bar. It's actually bringing it right to you in the flow of work, where we meet employees. They are having some knowledge about who they are, the context they're in, maybe what role they have, some background, the way they learn, and how they need support to be delivered without disrupting their workflow. That really creates the seamless and satisfying learning experience that really powers and empowers employees to be able to perform in their job while continuing to foster continuous growth. And so that's where we think these interactions are going, both tailored, right, to the specific role and need that they have, as well as contextual in the moment of what they're doing, so they feel personal, engaging, and not automatic or generic, right? Where we're going is more personalized.
Exciting times. So let's go to the third prediction. So as AI continues to integrate into every aspect of business, which we're talking about, leadership will also need to adapt, right? This brings us to prediction number 3, the rise of a new executive role, the Chief AI Officer. Fiona, what does this tell us about how organizations are prioritizing AI? How are you seeing demand for AI impact at the leadership level?
So whether we actually get a role or with a title like that remains to be seen. But I think there are people that have responsibility in the organizations to make sure things are secure and that there are policies created and that kind of thing. But I think having the top-down strategic direction, really for AI, I think is important. I came across a situation, again, one of our roundtables that we run at Fosway with corporates. There was somebody on that had a particular product, but that was actually built for AI upwards. But they had the instructions, if you like, or the support from the CEO that was actually giving them the go ahead, get on with it, use it as much as you can, rather than what a lot of the other maybe larger organizations, that's a debate we could have, where they have got either legal or IT security issues where they're putting barriers up to stop AI being used. So I think in the short term, we need that top-down C-suite level of support to be able to say, right, get all the things in place, but go for it. But then long term, I think we're going to be, this is just technology, and it'll be embedded, it'll be part of our world, it'll be in the background, and there won't be the fuss that there is going on at the moment. So yeah, that was my take on that one.
That's awesome. And you're right. Just we get excited about it, and then all the fuss, and then we kind of level it out. But John, are you seeing companies take the same kind of leadership approach, and how can they ensure their AI strategies are both innovative and ethical?
Well, it's an important topic. It certainly is something that when we speak with leaders, across different industries that we serve, all of them are being faced with a number of, questions and challenges around, right, what is the right use of AI, and how do we authorize employees that are bringing it to work and using it as a part of their daily job? What are the right applications for our company, for our customers, for the functions and different types of service mechanisms that we use? And it really starts with engaging the leadership around policy, right, including your, C-suite, not only the functional leaders, but also your chief information security officer, about what types of applications should be authorized, what type of protections you want to apply around your employee and your customer data to make sure that it's always being corded off in terms of the usage of that data to either keep it protected from AI or maybe not learn or train the AI on that specific corporate data. It's important that those strategic investments get the guardrails around it to make sure that the effective use of the technology is being adopted in the right way. And then senior leadership can guide and showcase the example of where great adoption is actually driving improved customer experience, better efficiency, potentially improvements in revenue or other types of business goals around their KPIs. That's really where the C-suite can really accelerate the adoption by showcasing those examples of where strategies are not only innovative, but also ethical and impactful, right? And so to achieve this, organizations really must improve the transparency, making sure employees know what's acceptable, what's not, the governance, giving them guidelines in the moment about how and where to use it, and the clear accountability around their AI initiatives so that they make sure that AI is a strategic enabler, not just a siloed function, but something that they can drive across the organization with the ethical considerations and the strategies they need to ensure they're doing it the right way at every stage of the process.
Now, so with leadership taking AI so seriously, right, for the positive side, not just the negative side, it's time to talk about how we'll all interact with AI itself. So that takes us to the prediction number 2. This is prompt engineering will become obsolete. Now, for a while now, we've heard that mastering AI means mastering prompt engineering, right? Everybody needs to know prompt engineering, right? Doesn't matter what level or what role you are, you must know prompt engineering. But by 2025, we believe this won't matter anymore. So Fiona, I know you expressed some skepticism about this prediction. So why do you think prompt engineering will still play an important role as AI evolves?
So I absolutely get that over time, because I've seen it myself, I've seen where vendors have come with authoring tools which are AI built, and they've added in the prompts themselves so that both the subject matter expert and the instructional designer can actually use the same tool and get the same quality out of it. So I think that is, there is that built-in prompt engineering, if you like. And so obviously the engineers need to understand what those prompts have to be. But I think as well, in the same way as I think we have over the years gotten to know how to use search engines and it takes us a while to get through maybe getting the right answer from a search engine. We maybe have to ask this or word it slightly differently. I think with the any of the AI, OpenAI things that we use, you're going to have to be able to challenge. And I think it's becoming much more like a conversation anyway. And so there's a kind of a knowing how to do that. And I think it's practice from that perspective. So there's a little bit of prompt engineering there, but I think I'm probably with you in the sense that we're not going to need to, go on courses of, how to do prompt engineering. I think it will be, the technology will help us so that we won't need to do that.
Well, now, John, Fiona does raise some good points here. Users will still need to guide AI effectively, right? So how does Cipher Learning balance mastering AI tools and make them accessible while ensuring users still have the ability to refine and direct their own outputs?
Well, Fiona's absolutely right. I mean, prompt engineering isn't disappearing overnight. What we are seeing is that companies are making the shift towards making AI tools more intuitive and more accessible. And so we've done a lot of research in this area that shows 57% of employees who want to use AI more still feel like they need more training around effective prompts. And most of their experience is with a general, call it OpenAI or other, general conversational experiences that are really out of context and don't have any, real learning about the individual or other contextual intelligence built into the process. And that's where AI is really moving beyond those traditional search capabilities, as Fiona mentioned, where effective prompt engineering now also starts to consider localization in terms of where you are, what language you're speaking, but also what systems you're in or what company, function that you currently serve in, or other proprietary content that can be tailored to deliver the results that are not just accurate, but relevant, right, to the specific user's needs or specific action they're involved in terms of a workflow. And so whether it's offering localized agents for a global project or referencing an organization's internal knowledge base, these all are adaptable to create very precise, actionable guidance. And that's where we see AI is adapting to that context. And that's where we at Cypher Learning, with AI 360 and our upcoming embedded AI agents, are really focused on embedding those into learning in the moment, right, for employees, where we will use and work alongside employees to provide either passive, background employee information, role, specific tasks they're trying to accomplish that they're not actually explicitly stating, but also active, specifically what they're typing into the box, and provide more tailored suggestions that can integrate into this deeper context to allow them to explore in terms of maybe skills mapping or other related topics that help them drill into what they need to more quickly. And so that's where we really believe that these AI embedded agents will become much more, responsive and lead to less reformulation that reflect their role-specific needs in the moment. And that's the blend of kind of personalization and contextual intelligence that we believe the right AI personal agents, and that's the way we're building ours, will deliver that type of learning and growth simultaneously.
Well, so perhaps the future isn't about erasing prompt engineering, but evolving how we think about it. Less technical, more strategic, more contextual, even more localized and deeply personalized. That balance will be key as AI, kind of reshapes not only how we interact with tools, but how we work, learn, adapt to real time, and how we actually lead as well. Now, this brings us to the number one prediction that we'll talk about today, and that is the boldest one to wrap things up. So in 2025, we'll see a Fortune 500 leader make headlines for a major AI oversight. So imagine, just for example, a newsworthy high-profile blunder. Picture this: a packed auditorium, cameras rolling, and a CEO delivering a highly visible keynote, right? Only for fact checkers to discover hours later that the data was AI generated, plagiarized, or actually completely false. That's a PR disaster, right, to happen. And we hopefully will not that happen, but I think we can always see that play that out. So Fiona, you've studied how companies are using AI. Why do you think that we're likely to see such a blunder, and what lessons can leaders learn from it?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one, and somewhere in the world this is going to happen, I'm sure. Whether it's so public but it has the potential to actually be quite damaging, whichever way you look at it. So being over reliant on the AI is risky, and having that human intervention is always, at this moment in time, we might see it improve over time, but at this moment in time, always having a human in the loop is so important. We had some Fosway data that was being added into an AI engine and a conversation, a podcast sort of like this happening. And when I listened to it, although it was pretty good, there were times when I'm thinking, oh, that's probably interpreting the data just slightly in the wrong direction. Now, that said, if you get all the analysts in a room, then we will all have different opinions anyway. So AI is just one other opinion. But if it was me having to deliver that speech that I would want to check that was what I believed, and that was what was the way to interpret that data, because I've got the experience, I've got the historical kind of understanding of what has gone on, and the anecdotal evidence and that kind of thing to do with, well, for me, it's that learning systems piece, and it goes back sort of 20, 25 years. AI could interpret data slightly differently that could end up upsetting our customers or the audience in general.
Cool. So now, John, as someone who's guiding organizations in deploying AI responsibly, how do you see this playing out?
Well, I mean, at Cypher, we continue to tell all of our customers about the 80/20 rule, which is let AI handle 80% of the repetitive tasks, but keep humans in the loop for the 20% that involve the strategic and nuanced decisions. And that's really the key, as Fiona mentioned, is that you can't, assume it's going to handle 100% of everything. And so, for example, our platform incorporates safeguards. We introduced a new product called AI Crosscheck that flags content that's created by AI that may not be accurate. And so we have separate AIs that check and cross-reference that data around course creation to make sure that the course creator is prompted with an alert that says, hey, you might want to check the validity of this specific data and give them the choice, right? Allow the human to make the choice around ethical or inclusive or potentially inaccurate data that's being generated by AI. The point is that humans do need to be involved. While building trust, we have to make sure that there's some guidance at the top to avoid the risks of kind of blind reliance. We all want the efficiency, but we have to do it in a and that's why we developed this 80/20 rule and AI Crosscheck.
So I think the takeaway here is clear. AI can be an incredible asset. Just make sure it doesn't write your keynote without a second glance. I mean, human governance is a must to avoid these costly blunders. So don't forget, the 80/20 rule, human intervention is still there. We need that oversight. So this has been such an insightful discussion. Thank you both for sharing your expertise. I know there's a lot more to share, so hopefully we'll come back to this. But before we close, I'd like to leave our learners with one final thought from each of you. If there's one key prediction or piece of advice you'd offer to organizations preparing for these AI-driven changes in 2025, what would it be? And Fiona, let's start with you.
So it is so exciting what the future holds in light of AI, and I think be optimistic about that and don't be fearful. Grab it with both hands, go and try it out. Be cautious, as we've already talked about on the last point. But it's not tech for tech's sake. This is, we need to be using it to add value. And I have a feeling that, I see roadmaps from the vendors day in, day out. And there are some things that will be introduced that actually the users will not end up adopting because it doesn't deliver that value. And but I think that's going to be in the minority. I think we're going to see more and more, and I just embrace it because it's going to make life easier. It's going to make things more efficient. It's going to make as John was just saying about the fact that takes away that repetitive task so that you could do the interesting stuff. So go for it.
Hey, and John.
Yeah, I would say, for companies to continue to stay focused on what are the right applications, right, of this technology that can drive the right level of integration and personalization into the workflows of your employees so that they're seamlessly embedded into their flow of work and, they're learning in the moment. They're tailored to their individual needs. So whether it's upskilling or improving customer experience, their key point is, where do we think AI can add tangible value that's measurable, right? Where you've got efficiency, potentially as an output of KPI, but also around engagement. Are your employees adopting it? Do you see customers enjoying it? Are they growing, right, faster and developing faster because of this deployment? And so it's not seen as replacing the human element, but really amplifying the growth and opportunities for employees.
Well, thank you, Fiona, and thank you, John, for these powerful insights. It's great words of wisdom that we'll all take with us. It's clear that AI isn't just a trend, right? It's shaping the future of how we work, learn, and lead. Now, and to our listeners, thank you for joining us. Naturally, if you'd like to have more information about the research and insights that Fosway Group is leading, it's fosway.com. And then if you'd like to learn more about how Cypher Learning is helping organizations harness the future of AI, visit our website at cypherlearning.com. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.